Welcome to today's episode. We'll be diving into some recent changes in Portuguese nationality law, which have introduced stricter naturalization requirements alongside some streamlined processes for certain applicants.
Yes, these changes are pretty significant. Now, for those seeking Portuguese citizenship, the residency period has been extended. If you're from a Portuguese-speaking country, it's now 7 years instead of 5. And for everyone else, it's a full 10 years.
That's a major shift. It seems like the clock now starts ticking from the first residence permit, not just when you start living in Portugal, right?
Exactly. So, people who are thinking about applying need to be mindful of that timeline. But there's another important piece. Applicants have to show proof of integration into Portuguese society.
Yeah, so it's not just about living in Portugal for a certain number of years anymore. It's about proving you actually know the language, the culture, and your civic duties as a citizen. I guess that makes sense, though. If you're going to be a part of the country, you should understand what it's all about.
I agree, but I wonder how strict they'll be with that proof of integration. Will it be language tests or cultural exams? How will they assess things like community involvement?
That's a good question. We don't have full details on the exact process yet, but I imagine there'll be some kind of standardized test for language and culture. Maybe things like volunteering or attending civic courses could help too.
Yeah, and for people from Portuguese-speaking countries, it might be easier to meet those requirements since the language barrier won't be as tough. But the 7-year residency requirement is still a bit longer than before.
True, and for non-Portuguese speakers, the 10 years will feel even longer. Still, some applicants might find the process more streamlined if they're from countries with certain agreements with Portugal, like Brazil or Angola.
Good point. For some, it's definitely a bit of a trade-off. More time spent in Portugal, but if they're already involved in Portuguese communities, that could help speed things up.
Definitely. And on the flip side, these stricter requirements could deter people who are considering citizenship as a quick route without real integration.
Yeah, it's definitely not a get-in-quick process anymore. But I think it could be a good thing. Only people who are truly committed to becoming part of the country will be able to do so.
Absolutely. So, with these changes in mind, what do you think the future looks like for those hoping to gain Portuguese citizenship? More people applying or fewer?
I'd say it's a bit of both. Some people might be discouraged by the longer waiting times, but others who are truly ready to integrate into Portugal will likely appreciate the clarity these new rules bring.
That's a fair take. It'll be interesting to see how these changes play out in the long term. All right, that's all for today's discussion on Portuguese nationality law. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening, everyone.